All right, welcome. It's time for us to kickstart another discussions on the desk. We've got very interesting talking points making the rounds, and one of them is a very controversial talking point, so to say the least, as Nigeria and France have agreed to develop a joint project to promote and diversify the critical minerals value chain in the solid minerals sector of both countries. Critical minerals such as copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth elements are essential to clean energy technologies. In the memorandum of understanding signed by both countries on the sidelines of the official visit to France by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently, both countries agreed to collaborate on research, training, and Franco-Nigerian student exchanges for knowledge and skill transfer. But to some political analysts, they feel this is a sad occurrence, because we know what happens every time France or the French government steps into a country. It's all about grabbing the natural resources of that country, and what follows next is we've got insecurity taking place in those areas. We saw that happen in Niger and other French-speaking African countries. And this move by Mr. President is being looked at with so much concern. All right, so we'll be looking at that issue, what this will bring to Nigeria. Already we know that Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, signed for Nigeria, while the Interministerial Delegate for Critical Ores and Metals of the Republic of France, Benjamin Gazoyo, also signed on behalf of France. So we'll be looking at what this would mean for Nigeria and the French country. We'll also be taking you to the talking point as regards the August protest, where the Nigerian police has expressed concern regarding its recent 34-page report released by Amnesty International, which alleged that officers of the Nigerian police force were responsible for the death of innocent Nigerians during the hashtag End Bad Governance protest in August 2024. Daily Poster recalls that the Amnesty International on November 28 alleged that about 24 Nigerians who protested against economic hardship in August were killed by security operatives. And the report also did claim that about 1,200 others, including minors, were arrested and detained by the police in some states in the north. So we're looking at the implication of this, and as well as the fact that the Nigerian police is already denying it without keen into investigations. And good enough, Global Television was at the protest ground in one of those days, and we did see the Nigerian police abuse the protesters by shooting directly at the protesters in terms of canisters, tear gas on both sides of the divide, not giving them the chance to breathe right. All right, so we'll be looking at that issues very clearly. And still on the desk, we've got other talking points on the desk. We've got the tax reforms that's refusing to go away as 72 lawmakers, including Babagana Zulum, Professor Babagana Zulum of Zamfara, and also talking about Tambawa reject bills, and the APC slams critics as northern groups protest. So we'll be looking at why is this protest by the 19 northern governors refusing to die down. So we'll be looking at that issue. All these and others is what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program, The Desk. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be talking with the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360 and the person of Model, Jeffrey Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom to help us look at this very interesting talking point on The Desk. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. It's the desk on Global Television, and we're looking at very important global issues making the rounds. It's all about Nigeria and France. I've got via Zoom my guest, the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, in the person of Mother Jeffrey Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good evening, Anthony. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigeria and viewers, wherever you are watching us from.
All right, I know you're very much aware of the insecurity ravaging Zamfara and other mineral producing states in the country. Just recently, we had Nigeria and France have agreed to develop joint projects to promote and diversify the critical minerals value chain in the solid minerals sector of both countries. Critical minerals such as copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth elements are essential for clean energy technologies. Are you worried that what the French have done in the Francophone countries like Niger and Mali, where they have always focused on the minerals in those countries, mine them and take them to France for their own much benefit rather than the country themselves, is what is trying to play out in Nigeria?
Well, thank you so much. I want to start by saying that we are not under the colony of France. We were not colonized by them. Nigeria, as of today, is an independent country of reputable track record in leadership development in African continent. That's one. Two, we are not on the same par with those small countries that you just mentioned, Mali, Guinea, and the rest of them, and all that. We are not. We are poles and many miles ahead of them in terms of knowing what we want and knowing what we deserve, as far as this is concerned. So, for me, the world is about synergy, it's about multilateral, it's about bilateral relationship. No country, no matter how powerful, no matter how resourceful, no matter how big or great you are, that can be an island to himself. You need other countries, particularly in areas of comparative advantage that they have over what you have, to be able to have a balance and all that. It is an understatement to say that a certain level, for instance, Nigeria, particularly the Southwest under Bafemi Awolowo, first built a TV station in Nigeria before France thought of building its own. But when you look at track record, when you look at antecedent, when you look at achievement, where France is today is not where Nigeria is. France is among the top 20 countries in the world, is among the G7 countries in the world, and so many top countries in terms of ICT, in terms of technology, and so many other things and all that. So they are some miles ahead of us when it comes to that. And then for us, at this point, we must say it clearly that the mining sector in Nigeria over the years has been bedeviled with a lot of illegal mining, particularly in the northern part of the country without prejudice. That's why you see that most of these, insurgency, militancy, and a host of things happening around Boko Haram, ISWAP, and the rest of them. The underlying factor, the underlying variable is illegal mining that is going on in such state, particularly Zamfara state, and then the Lake Chad belt and so many other things. There are so many minerals, even in Borno state and so many other things that, that is being fueled one way or the other. That is why all this insurgency issue is still ravaging some of those things and all that. No doubt there has been reasonable, overwhelming, remarkable, unfortunately, involvement as regards to economic sabotage by few individuals who are from this country, who are colliding and colluding with foreigners and these so-called, insurgents and militants to begin to mine those things and all that. In other words, in the real mining or solid mineral sector, nothing, I could say it, is coming to the purse of the state, neither to the purse of the federal government, legitimately as it ought to be. Because most of those developed countries who have this kind of minerals that we're talking about, this is what they leverage on. That is the mainstay of their economy. But you discover that this thing have been mined by few individual fellas who are like cartels, who are like cabals, who are doing illegal mining 247 and so many other things and other. But give it to this present administration. And that was why for the first time we are having the Ministry of Solid Mineral, that is looking at that, that has come up with a lot of reform system.
Under not to cut you short, you're giving kudos to the administration, but we're still having illegal mining going on in Zamfara. We're still having insecurity in Zamfara, which the state, the federal government has been able to quell, and you're giving kudos to them. Don't you think that's too hasty to give them kudos already?
No. Anthony, Rome wasn't built in a day. You've been in the stench, you've been in a pit for about 20, 30 years. Now somebody is trying to rescue you. You are now shouting that, oh, this place is stinking, let come and get me out. No, it doesn't work that way. All right? What I'm saying in essence is the step for 1,000 miles start with the right step.
Sure.
But the first time we are having a ministry that is coming up with how we can espouse, we can expose, we can attract, collaboration and investment for proper mining, to put in place ethical ways, ethical dimension and professional ways of mining these minerals, so that what is due to local government and the community, where they operate can go to them. What is due for the, the state government, where those things can go to them. What is due for the federal government who can equally go to them. For instance, the so-called gold and others, solid minerals in the northern part of the country. If it's not being mined the way it's being mined by a few individuals now, look at what is happening under the Niger Delta. The only thing that is bringing money to this country, that the entire country depends on, 80-90% is the crude oil that we all know. It is because there is sanity, despite the fact that we have little of skirmishes, of challenges in the Niger Delta, as a result of bunkering and so many other things. But you will agree with me that more than 75% of what this country is earning to sustain humanity, to sustain infrastructure and a lot of things is from the Niger Delta. So imagine if similar thing has been put in place 20 years ago in Zamfara, as you call it now, in Sokoto, as you call it now, in Borno, as you call it now, and any other state for that matter. And then this thing is being guided professionally as it's supposed to. The state will be earning what is supposed to be earning. The local government will be earning what is supposed to earning. The community that is in question under the corporate social responsibility will be earning, and by extension, they will create employment opportunity legitimately. Then there will be sanity, there will be dignity, there will be decency, there will be decorum, and there will be discipline in some of those places. So for the first time, you cannot fault. I am not praising them, but we must let them know that for the first time, a government is thinking in that direction to change narrative, to become a game changer. We must give it to them, whether we like it or not. And so taking that up, having established, trying to put in place proper law that can guide mining activities in those areas. Now they need, foreign investors that are experts in this area who know how to go about it. That can bring in machine, that can bring in investment, that can collaborate, that can ensure that, there is security and there is the adequate and the proper way of doing things in those areas. So
let's end the conversation on this matter. The both parties did sign an MOU expected to open opportunities for the remediation of over 2,000 abandoned pits in the country through its planned intervention. Let's look at the fact that both of them have also agreed that they're going to do things based on best international practices. Are you confident that Nigeria will be able to uphold international practice when it comes to the mining sector, especially with the fact, like you rightly pointed out, we're just beginning to get things right in the mining sector? Are you confident Nigeria would not falter and breach the MOU with the French government?
I am very, very, very confident because we have a precedent already in key area that I mentioned earlier on. All right, so the idea that Nigeria will falter because it's an MOU, is going to be a bilateral relationship. We can't just falter as far as that is concerned because they are bringing their expertise to the table. They are bringing technical support to the table. They are bringing money to the table. And then we have the solid mineral that they're putting. So the whole thing will be clearly spelled out in specific terms. What are the duties? What are the role? What are the responsibilities? What are the obligations of each of the parties? And so once that is signed, sealed, and delivered, and they move into it, everybody will be guided because that becomes an international transaction. There are sanctions if you deviate from it, and so many other things and all that. We have seen cases of, I think 1 or 2 oil blocks that was assigned, the case is still in court now in the UK or something, so many of that in that, it appears maybe they said maybe Nigeria or the company, veer off from the, I know that is before an international court as we speak right now. So we know as a country that, conscious of all of this, once that is signed, I am very, very confident. The only challenge is that those probably who are doing illegal mining, who are benefiting from the bad system, who are enjoying unduly illegitimate earnings and so many other things, might want to begin to, create some bottleneck, some problem here and there. But I believe that when it gets to that bridge, definitely we shall cross it, because this idea, putting together, and that's why it's often said that when the right timing and the right organization or personality come together, incredible things happen. So there will be decency, there will be decorum as far as that is concerned. Of course, security will be provided and things will be done normally now. We don't have a choice but to abide by the rules guiding that bilateral relationship that we are going into. I don't see Nigeria defaulting as far as this is concerned. We are no babies as far as this is concerned.
All right,
we are reputed, and then we are, we are respected.
All right, the federal government and Dele Alake, the minister, would get their acts right to ensure that we get the best benefit from this MOU. Let's move on to the next talking point on the desk. We've got a very interesting talking point. It has to do with Amnesty International. August protest is where we're hitting at right now, as the Nigerian police has expressed concern regarding the recent 34-page report released by Amnesty International, which alleged that officers of the Nigerian police force were responsible for the death of innocent Nigerians during the #EndBadGovernance protest in August 2024. Amnesty International on November 28 alleged that about 24 Nigerians who protested against economic hardship in August were killed by security operatives. The report also did claim that about 1,200 others, including minors, were arrested and detained by the police in some states in the north. Reacting, the MPF, that's talking about the Nigerian police force, in a statement issued by the force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi, refuted the allegations, describing them as unfounded and confusing. The force reiterated that throughout the protest, it complied with established rules of engagement. All right, my question to you is, are you worried that the Nigerian police force is always used to going on the defensive rather than do their investigation, look into the matter or the report, and try to see if there's some level of truth, rather than always blanket saying Amnesty International's reports are always not true and confusing and unfounded? Because I was there during the protest. I did see the Nigerian police force abuse the protesters, shoot canisters directly at the protesters, even when protesters were not going after them, and they shot in all ways in such a way that they would choke the protesters. What's your take as regards the Nigerian police force?
Well, thank you so much. I really want to say that without prejudice to comment, without prejudice to report submitted by Amnesty International, but they should know that Nigeria is an independent country, and they should respect our sovereignty as a people and as a country. The issue of the August protests of Ibin Power, we are hungry.
Are you saying the killing of 24 Nigerians is justified because we have sovereignty?
No. They can't just jump to conclusion. One thing leads to the other. The question now is, does Amnesty have the number and the figure and those things? Do they have photo, clips, video of those 24 that were killed? Do they have it now? The thing happened in August, all right, generated a lot of issues. The government sensitized the people over the likely, consequences, and then the fallout and the spiral effect of that, strike, which was hijacked. The government emphasized that it would be hijacked, that they are doing something. I'm not speaking for the government, but I'm speaking of.
It sounds like you're doing that already.
Listen, no. Listen. You see, in my comment, I'm very objective.
Because I was at the protest ground. I saw the Nigerian police force shoot at the protesters from all corners and choking the protesters with tear gas. I also did suffer from it. So I'm surprised you weren't there, but you're speaking on behalf of the government.
Yes, the police, you said, shoot canisters and tear gas. Is canister the same thing as live bullets? Yes,
no. You did not shoot consistently numbers of tear gas as people that were not coming at you.
Sorry?
Go ahead with your conversation. Go ahead.
Yes. Sorry, the point I'm making in essence is, for me, after the whole exercise, some of these underage, so to say, that we're talking about, these are underage that participate in annual or 4-year election in this country. Underage too, they voted and it is agreed, it is counted, it is accepted. That's 1, 2. I don't have any problem for an underage or anybody, any Nigerian to protest. But why protesting? Must you now go and be looting shops? Must you now destroy other people's means of livelihood in the name of say, protest or so many other things? Stealing deep freezer, stealing refrigerator, stealing what do you call it, television, and stealing money in shops, destroying property. Is that peaceful protest? Having said that, they were led to be arrested. They were arraigned. After much effort and do generate a lot of public outcry, they were released. Fine. What the dust is just settling now. Amnesty is coming up with another thing that 24 people were killed. Is Amnesty the mother and the father of those people that were killed? Do they have the record properly? They should not cause chaos in our country. We're a sovereign country, and that's exactly
Sorry, are you aware Amnesty have members in Nigeria? Are you aware that they have members in Nigeria? They're not just speaking from the outside of the country. They have members in the country. Are you aware of that?
They have offices. I know they have offices here, but we have to be very, very careful, in swallowing what some of these foreign, agencies and foundations says about us, because a lot of them don't love us.
Shouldn't that be the reason the Nigerian police force is supposed to conduct an investigation based on what Amnesty said before just blanketly saying it's a lie and it's confusing? What can be confusing about statistics and numbers?
You see, the issue in question, the most boiling point was in Kano, where you have some of the most serious attack on public property and so many other things and all that. The point I'm making in essence is this: between that August and now, that Amnesty is making that, okay, have they engaged the police? Have they collaborated with maybe CSO, non-governmental organization to actually ascertain? We shouldn't just allow them to just come up with figure or come up with report and we swallow that hook, line, and sinker. As we speak right now, the IGP has ordered
for investigation.
The state police commissioners in each of these states mentioned, they should be investigated, and then he wants the report as soon as possible. But the point I'm making in essence is, most of these reports that these foreign nationals or these foreign agencies come, it is to cause commotion in our country. And we have to play it down, which will allow the police to do what they need to do as far as this is concerned. It's not everything they say about us, because they have tried us, several times. There was a statement credited to CFK or whatever, Kennedy School of whatever in America, who said that Nigeria has manifested all signs of a failed state that is at the stage of disintegration. Consciously or unconsciously, they try to fuel a lot of crises within the system called Nigeria, because a lot of them are envious of us. A lot of them know what we are, our network in terms of the quality of human capital, the quality of the natural endowment. A lot of them are.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you. What led to the protest? You're blaming Amnesty and the Western world. Why wouldn't you blame the government for bad governance? Because if the people were well governed, basic amenities were provided, there wasn't hardship in the country, people would not protest. That's the bottom line. That's why people were protesting. High cost of fuel, electricity and all that. That's why people were protesting. They are not protesting because Amnesty told them to protest. So can we focus on the reason, the fact that there's bad governance? That was why Nigerians poured out on the streets.
See, we have to be careful, particularly as media.
Can you hear me? All right, we're still talking with Rebuild Nigeria 360, the global president in the person of model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom, helping us look at a very interesting talking point on the desk. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be signing off on that very topic before we move on to other issues on the desk. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Still the desk on Global Television, and we've got the Rebuild Nigeria 360 president in the person of Model Abidoye, Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, joining us via Zoom. Thank you for rejoining us. The studio was already getting heated up here. Just to get your view as if the fact that if we had very good governance, people would not pour out in the street to protest first of all. Can you look at it from that perspective rather than just put it down on the Western world trying to break Nigeria?
Well, I thank you so much. I don't always like to say whether we have good governance or what have you or not. You see, most times, because the protest, whether we like it or not, is targeted at the presidency. Presidency does not have states, even though they are taking the lion's share of monthly allocation, whatever, and all this and all that. But you see, some of these things should be targeted at the local level. The chairman of the local government, the House of Rep member, the senators, as well as the state governors. Because money goes down to this state at the end of the month, collected. Under this administration without prejudice, we know how many times the federal government has released money in their billions to state governors in form of palliative to help the people. We know how many times they have released, trucks of load of rice in their numbers, in their thousands and million bags of rice to each of the state governors. My question is, does this rice get to the root? Does it get to an average personality of citizens in this country? Just last week, how many billions of bag of rice were discovered in Kano, which were meant for the people that were stored in a warehouse that are being bagged to be sold during this Christmas season to Nigerians? These are things that people are supposed to be attacking. These are things that people are supposed to. It was last year, about this time last year, when thousands of bags of rice were released to senators to take back home to give to their people for the season. It took the senator from the Edo State to make a noise to say, this is what the federal government, this is what President Tinubu gave to us. Other senators collected it, they took it to their various states, their people didn't know. And up to now, nobody is punished. These are people that were representing the people that were duly elected. These are people that had the process of recalling. How many of the senators have been recalled? How many of our governors are being put on their toes in each of the states? They collect all of this money. They use the money for something else and so many other things. And people are not putting them to question. So our attitude to bad governance should start from chairman of local government. It should address to House of Rep member. It should be addressed to the senators and the governors. So that at the end of the day, everything that comes to them is supposed to be to get to the people at the grassroots. And that's why you have 3 tiers of government. But when those things are not being done, and everybody now begin to look at presidency, whatever, no, we are not getting it right. That means we are leaving substance, so change shadow all over the places. If the governors are put on their toes under the Freedom of Information Bill that have been signed into law by the past administration of President Buhari, that every bubble that goes to the state, we have access to it.
Are you aware that it's the president that removed the subsidy? It's the president that called the shots in these issues that have put Nigeria's economic hardship? It were all statements and policies by the federal government, not the local government chairman.
When the subsidy was removed, as we speak, there is no private market or personal market for APC members. We are all in the same ship. It's biting everybody, including me that I'm talking. I'm not a political appointee under anybody. The point I'm making in essence is this so-called oil subsidy has been there as scam for years by the cabals, by syndicate, by cartels that are making money, who are deliberately kill our refineries that is not working, who will import 2 million liters and say they import 200 million liters. And they will collect money and they share among themselves and so many other things. So this present administration is taking some very bold steps to ensure that the Commonwealth does not go to few individuals. And so it requires a lot of time to be able to put some of those things into, and to pushing that effect almost immediately. As we speak right now, salary has been reviewed from 35,000 or 30,000 naira to about 70,000. Some states are paying 75,000, some are paying 85,000 as we speak right now. It is an achievement to this administration. 2, the oil subsidy removal that was removed, shortly after that, that was when they started releasing rice and grains to state governors, giving them cash in form of palliative. The governors didn't distribute the money, they didn't give it to the people in the state at the state level. That's the point I'm making. Rather than we just point it out, somebody will have to do it. And we must have to do it at this point in time. So this present administration, as far as I'm concerned, is coming up with reform agenda, transformation agenda, to change policy, to change the way we do our things in this country. We must face reality. That is just the truth, without sentiment, without prejudice. It's paining everybody, but I know that all these things will start coming. We start coming down very, very soon. Today we have a Dangote refinery that is working. Just last week, they said Port Harcourt refinery that they've been posting up and down, giving us 4 different dates that have not been working. Whether hurry, whatever name they do it now, they seem to be doing something because they are hit on them. And I know that by this time of next year, write it down, the price of petrol PMS will not be 1,000 anymore. That I can say confidently, because a lot of things will begin to change when there will be competition that is healthy. When GSM came in 2001, you know how much we are buying a SIM of card for about 80,000, just SIM of card, with one local phone that they brought to us at the inception at that time. But we are buying it for about 130, 125,000 for one. The same SIM today is being given free of charge in the market. There's healthy competition. When Glo came in, when Airtel came in, and the rest of them, Econet and all that, you start seeing that things going down. But the oil sector, which is the mainstay of our economy, has been hijacked by hostage takers, hijackers, few fellas. That is not up to 2% of the total population of Nigeria. And these boys have been there for years and nobody touched them. So the best way to displace them is to remove that subsidy. Of course, with time, a lot of things will begin to change. That I know for sure. I am very, very confident.
We're hoping for the very best for
the Nigerian nation. Apart, we are against it seriously.
All right, let's move. We've got a lot of stuff on our desk this evening. The next on our desk is the tax reforms, where 72 lawmakers, Zulum, Tambuwa, reject bills. That's where we're heading to as APC slams critics as Northern Group protest. The story is all about the House of Representatives has suspended indefinitely the debate on the tax reform bills earlier fixed for Tuesday, following mounting pressure from the 19 Northern governors. The report says the planned debate was called off in a memo signed by the clerk of the House of Representatives, Dr. Yahaya Damzaria, as 73 Northern lawmakers kicked against the bill. Those who rejected the bills include 48 reps members from the Northeast, 24 from the federal lawmakers from Kanu, and a former governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aminu Tambuwa, who represents Sokoto South Senatorial District. The memo, also suspending the debate, dated November 30th, 2024, is titled Rescheduling of Special Session on Tax Reform Bills. Let's look at the fact that we have loads of Northern leaders totally against this bill, regardless of the benefit that brings to the nation. Are you worried that it seems the Northern caucus in the National Assembly is having their way as against what is supposed to benefit the general country? Should we let it go just because the Northern Bloc doesn't like it? Should it be that way?
Well, thank you so much for that beautiful question. It should be expected that the Northern governors are reacting. First, it is the Northern elders under Arewa that gather together to say they are not going to stand, they should withdraw that. After that, I think NEC, what have you, came up under the vice president to say it should be withdrawn. And it is after that the National Assembly leaders, particularly from the Northern and the governors, are now doing all sort of things. The same governor, about 19 governors across the country that gathered and took the EFCC to court, that they should scrap EFCC. Imagine that. The same governors who are not generating anything.
I will ask you to please hold on. My producer says we have to go for a quick break. Once we return from this break, please kindly rejoin us in the next 2 minutes as we go for a quick break. Thank you very much. All right, welcome back. Still the desk on Global Television, and we're talking serious matters, talking about tax reform bills. And we still have the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360, in the person of Mother Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, joining us via Zoom, and just getting some messages across Nigeria from Lokoja. Says we're watching and we're keenly interested in this talking point as regards the tax bills. Thank you, Aisha, for sending across that message from Lokoja. All right, let's continue our discussion. Abidoye, let's you're about trying to make a statement as regards if we should jettison this bill for the sake of the northern region.
We cannot jettison the bill because the only constant in life itself is change. For the very first time in many years, we are having a bill that is set and is poised to redimension, to redefine, to reposition the taxation system in Nigeria. The question we must ask, are we actually paying tax in Nigeria today? The answer is no. One of the easiest ways to go to prison or to be banned for maybe public engagement and traction in any developed clime is when you evade or you avoid tax. Several of our, particularly those rich men and big personalities in Nigeria, are not paying tax. If you're in Europe, if you're in UK, if you buy the latest Rolls Royce, the system does not ask you not to buy it. You have your money. But once you buy it, be rest assured that before you get to your house, a tax bill is waiting for you. The higher the head, the bigger the headache, and so many other things. But it's here in Nigeria that those that are making the system, making the common patrimony, making the common economy and the commonwealth of the people are rubbing it on our faces. For instance, I am in Abuja, you are in Abuja. Most of this building in Abuja, how many of the landowners and landlords are paying tenement rates annually? One person will have about 200 houses. One person will have 5 different estates that they are not paying money and all that. It is only the poor people that are actually paying tax in Nigeria are those who pay through pay system, pay as you earn, because it's being deducted, from their, salary every month. How many of these northern governors, without prejudice, or northern leaders now, who are, condemning this reform, have studied this so-called bill that has been sent to look at the advantage and the disadvantages among them? Largely, I was watching Dr. Sani Shinkafi also this morning on Right Television, when he was saying most of their governors are very lazy, and I'm quoting him now.
Yeah, the lazy and irresponsible.
They only wait cap in hand for money from the federal allocation. They don't internally generated. They don't even do much as far as that is concerned. 2, that most of the money being generated under VAT or withholding tax and what have you, most of these companies are sited in Lagos. The bulk of it goes to Lagos. The new tax law is now saying, for instance, in Kano, what is due to MTN under VAT, it should be based on where the calls are made, so that at the end of the day, when they are sharing it, if 1 million comes from from Kano, something commensurate to that should go to Kano, rather than to say, oh, because the headquarters of MTN is in Lagos, the bulk of the money should go to Lagos. So the tax system has been proposed, has been sent to the National Assembly, is to address a lot of things. They are saying anybody that is earning less than 1 million should not pay tax. It is there. They are saying about 550 nuisances tax suffered by local government. You move from one local government, you are carrying something now. You will see all these boys on the road, putting nails, stopping you, harassing people, taking multiple taxation all over the places. They are saying they want to put in it, in one window, so that if you pay 1,000 in Nasarawa State, you go and do your business in Imo State. Nobody will begin to harass you under tax pay system. These are things that over the years that have not been addressed. Consultant tax, that is being collected by state. The law is addressing it. So there are quite a lot of things that thing is addressing. The advantages overwhelmingly outweigh whatever flaws or whatever inadequacy it might address. I listened to Taiwo Oyedele at the National Assembly last week. Yeah. They did not allow him to come in. They did not allow the chairman of Federal Inland Revenue to come in when the northern senators started protesting. They walk out of the place. This country belongs to all of us, for crying out loud. No section of this country can hold this country down. It belongs to all of us. And that's why I'm happy some of the things that is happening under this present administration, under the Regional Development Commission that is being done now. Taking it back to what happened in the past, in the 50s and 60s, early 60s, when there is, the southwestern part of Nigeria that was doing very well. When in the northwest or whatever in Kano, you have the Kano pyramid and so many other things. When in Kaduna, you have the textile system that were built by our leaders. Today, they are gone. The problem we have in the last 24, 25 years running were created by this governor. In an ideal situation, if the contest to pick a ticket and become governor were done creditably and excellently well, through healthy competition, we have fantastic minds. We have fantastic individuals from the northern part of the country that are better, that can run the system better than us. So all this idea, Jankara kind of strategy, ambush to stop or frustrate, the country from moving forward. We have to stop it.
But are you certain? Are you convinced? Not to cut you short, Abidoye, are you convinced the president would make this happen, regardless of whatever a stumbling block the northern bloc is trying to cause for this bill to scale through? And do you see this degenerating into something worse than we're already seeing? Because Benjamin Kalu, the deputy Senate president, went through a lot and said what he saw that played out on Thursday is nothing short but divisive. Are you certain the president can move this through?
Well, as a matter of fact, I believe because very soon some of us will come out, particularly under the CSO and non-governmental organization. When in Nigeria, we are going to mobilize them. A lot of Northerners are not in support of what their governors are doing. Then my question is, are the governors doing rightly? No, a lot of them are not doing it rightly. Today, the northern part of the country is bedeviled with a high level of poverty. Millions of our children are on the streets, out of school, children on the street, begging, and so many other things and other.
That's what they're crying for. They're saying if this bill comes to pass, they're going to get more power. The northern bloc is saying if this bill goes through, it means the states are going to get poorer because they're, like you rightly pointed out, they're poor already. And by the time these taxes come into being in the different sectors, the 4 different taxes, once the implementation is domesticated in the state level, the northern states are going to get more poorer. But on the flip side, if they diversify their sources of income and their IGR, they might just be able to generate more income. Do you see it from that perspective?
Are they going to get poorer? They are just not being sincere. And that's why I'm saying we are going to sensitize quite a lot of Northerners, elites, to come up to be in support. It is high time we change narrative for this country. It is high time, because more often than not, some of us probably from the southern part are saying, is there a problem in the northern part of the country? Now, the poor boys, and girls, the homeless and the helpless in the north, are they not all across, all over the part of the country today? Because there's no proper care for them. They are not in school, no skill acquisition, no vocational training, no enterprise development for them. They scatter all over the places, riding Okada all over the places, and a lot of them are doing some questionable things and so many other things. So it used to be their problem, but it's a national malaise, it's a national problem now. And that's why we must join hands together. We are going to push this bill through to ensure that we save this country from few fellas who feel that this country is their personal estate. We will not. Our brothers in the north that are roaming the streets, they are intelligent. The fact that they could not go to school doesn't mean they are not. We have engaged quite a lot of them. They don't have to speak English to be productive. True. They don't have to speak English to be able to deliver. All we need to do is to give them sense of belonging, sense of what. And this is one of the things that has distinguished, the Emir of Kano, the former CBN governor, from them that, look, this thing you are doing cannot continue. How many of these governors have their children on the streets as beggars? How many of these northern elites have their children roaming on the streets, rearing cows that are even Fulanis? They send their children to the best of schools, even when they don't deserve it. It is the sons and daughters of the poor man that can go and die on the street. No home, no clothes, no food, no shelter, no future for them. So they are comfortable with that. And all of them are hiding in Abuja now, because the place is no longer safe for them. So we must join hands together. We are going to mobilize the people. We are going to educate substantial number of the people, and not this Jankara arrangement that we just protest. We must change, because we have seen 24, 25 years, a lot of
let's move We've got another talking point on our desk here this evening. Let's look at the World AIDS Day that just went by. Over 50,000 living with HIV/AIDS in Kogi State. That is disturbing. The acting executive secretary of the Kogi State Agency for the Control of AIDS, talking about Ibrahim Anate, disclosed this in a commemoration of the 2024 World AIDS Day in Lokoja, which was organized by the Center for Integrated Health Programs in collaboration with the Kogi State Agency for the Control of AIDS. According to him, 36,066 persons are presently on treatment in Kogi State, saying the figure is seriously alarming. Let's look at this issue of 36,000 plus in Kogi State, very close to the FCT. And would you say Nigeria has been completely committed to the fight against HIV and AIDS, especially after the advent of the COVID-19?
Well, it's a development that is very strange to me, very, very strange. I know before, Benue State used to have one of the highest in the country.
Yeah.
Yes. And in recent time, this HIV/AIDS issue in our country has been going down through the agency managing it. You know, in my state, Ondo State, it's called Odisaka, and what have you, and so many other things. But I'm alarmed to say about 36 or 50,000. I'm alarmed. I don't know how they arrive at that. I don't want to, be condemn the
outcome, from the government figures.
I'm alarmed. How did they arrive at those figures? How they arrive at that? Because one thing we have found out in this country is that, such, endemic disease or pandemic or whatever, when it happens, some system one way or the other try to hype it. Even when the COVID-19 came, even some states where you have 20, because it is like a meal ticket. They will say, oh, out of that 20, we have 100 or we have 150. The more you declare, the more money you get for each of the states. So we have to be wary. I would want to suggest that the Federal Ministry of Health should, through the agency handling HIV and AIDS, commission in Abuja here, should step into it to actually analyze and look at how was thorough screening done. How long has it been? How did they detect? How did they arrive at that 36 or 50,000? It's alarming in Kogi State. What is the total population of Kogi State? Are you saying 36,000 now is in Lokoja or where? These are things that I'm not a medical person, but for me, I know that in recent times, the HIV things has been going down in this country in terms of record. And that's why you don't see much, advocacy, even from the USAID and the rest of them and so many other things, World Health Organization and other. That advocacy has been going down. What we are seeing in recent time is the COVID-19. After COVID-19, they are talking of monkeypox or whatever and all this and all that. That's what we've been hearing. So for one state now, without prejudice to say they have 36 or 50,000. No, I think it's something that we should look at clinically. And all that. Paratension, we never can say.
All right, let's hope the needful will be done so that we can really confirm if Kogi State has 36,066 persons living undergoing treatment for HIV and AIDS. Okay, let's quickly move on to the next talking point, which has to, we've got two of them, and quickly, Central Bank of Nigeria is saying they're going to, they're looking at this, is reported to is preparing to retire approximately 1,000 employees as part of strategic workforce realignment, and the severance package is worth 50 billion naira. Are you concerned with the number of persons to be retired and 50 billion naira as severance package? How do you see this playing out?
Well, it is a pity that we find ourselves ab initio. People who are just employed based on sentiment. People who are employed based on the fact that, they are sons and daughters of elites or big person in personality and all that. I work with security printing and minting. And I remember when we were to work there, when we were to be recruited, I know what the process looked like. But in recent time, you have seen, strategic government agency like Central Bank, you have just people flooded, being employed, being engaged, even when they don't have the requisite skill. When they don't have the interest, their father just want them to work in Central Bank and be earning salary. If you mature, because the bottom line
please, of we've got 3 minutes to wrap it up, so as quick as you can.
Yes. So quite a lot of them are not productive. That is it. They've been over flooded, and so many other things. You recall that when this governor came, They redeployed about 1.5 million of them to Lagos. They refused. A lot of them refused. It was at that point they now said, well, if you are not ready to go, then you are ready. So I believe that in order to reduce a lot of excesses, indolence, and then non-proactive workforce in the system, that's why the central bank, they must have done their clinical analysis of the pros and cons of what they want to do. And I know they have what it takes to be able to pay them off. They are not forcing anybody now. They are saying voluntarily, come and identify, surrender yourself, fill the form, and then they pay you off.
All right, thank you very much. Always a pleasure having you join us on the desk. This is how much time is going to let us take on today's conversation. I want to say a big thank you to the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360. He's no other person but Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Always a pleasure having a very patriotic Nigerian look at issues from a very balanced perspective and putting the interests of Nigeria first. Thank you very much. We urge you to enjoy the rest of your day, and always a pleasure having you on the desk.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Good evening, Nigeria.
All right, so that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition. Special thanks to the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360 in the person of Jeffrey Abidoye for joining us, and to the entire production team. Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for being part of the desk.